Keep silent. A very warm good afternoon to everybody all. Today I have got the privilege to present over here and I welcome all of you to this important seminar on cybersecurity. But before starting with this seminar session, let's allow me to invite some eminent dignitaries in the dais. I first request for you all sir to come upon and please take your seat in the dais. Please welcome him and please take a very greeting and applause. I also request our eminent speaker, Mr. Papuji Gosdar, to take the speech. Sir. He is an ex-principal scientist, an IBM architect and cybersecurity expert, who will be sharing deep insights on emerging cyber threats and solutions. I am also going to invite Sudipto sir to come upon the dais and please be seated. Please, sir. Okay, I am requesting Swati sir to come upon the stage and please be seated. Okay. Now I request Purimal sir to facilitate our eminent speaker, please. Give him a big applause. Welcome him. Now, also give him a big applause. Let's give a big applause. Now I request Swati sir to please grace on the welcome note before the audience. Please, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. sir, for giving me this opportunity to deliver this note. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Papuji Gosdar, on behalf of the fraternity, and accepting our invitation and sharing some of his elaborations with us. Papuji sir, as you will come to know, is a world-class cybersecurity scientist and expert having over 35 years of experience in identity data management, database security, with his critical ranging from public to private sector enterprises, from US government, from the US federal government to Indian government. He has also given his consultancy to healthcare industry. It is really a rare privilege for us to have you with us, sir, and a great opportunity for you, the students, to learn from you. In fact, if I would have been in your place, I would have taken this every opportunity to get hold of him and learn as much as we can at this very moment. And with this topic of cybersecurity, I think that right now we are living in one of the most vulnerable times since the advent of communication. And I can very definitely say, without any understatement, that at this very moment, someone's account is getting hacked, someone's identity is getting stolen, is getting blown, someone is falling victim of ransomware attack through the digital arrest, someone is getting attacked by phishing methods, or there is an organized AIM as well. In fact, nowadays, every click or every touch in this cell phone has become a potential threat. But we need to take that click, right? We have to click and we have to touch the cell phone, we have to give permission to even talk on software. So, in order to run our daily life, we have to use technology. So, at present, what we can do is to take safety measures. Safety measures. This is a protocol by which we can safeguard ourselves from the hazard of the cyber crime. And in fact, the scale of breach of cybersecurity in terms of money or in terms of loss of personal reputation, life and livelihood is so huge that nowadays where the government are coming and getting general awareness among the public. As now you can see whenever you are calling someone, you will be hearing some pre-development message saying what to do and what not to do. Essentially, sir, we need to know what are the do's, what are the don'ts, and what are the best practices to which we can safeguard ourselves. And for you students, since you will be the future of our nation and it will be your task to safeguard the national interest and national security from getting falling into wrong hands. So I welcome all of you students to take this opportunity to ask questions to sir and gain as much knowledge as you can. With this, I thank all of you and wish a very good learning experience. Thank you so much, sir.
I think it's not good morning, so I say good afternoon. If not, I have started good morning thing, but now it is afternoon. Hello, can you hear me? Yes. So let me introduce myself. Let me introduce myself. I'm Martuji Ghosh. I passed from Calcutta University in 1983 in electrical engineering department, and then from a master's in computer science from Calcutta University. Master's in computer science in Calcutta University in 1986. And it also means that okay, it is no, it's fine. So, talking about the answer. So, Calcutta University from 1986, and then I joined the National Information Center. When I joined, it was under the planning commission. So I worked at Delhi from 87 to 96, 87 to 96, and then they transferred me to Calcutta for 2 years for setting up a data center. Let's call it as an NIC. It's a part of that NIC organization, but they basically not government cannot go for a business oriented thing. So NIC is a part of that. It's semi government, and it also do some private business also. It's a though it is a planning commission, but still they can use some private work also. So I was setting up that, and then I went back to Delhi in 1980 and 1998, and 2000 I went to US. And from that time onwards, I I got the citizenship in 2008, and I joined Russell in 2007. And from 2007 to 2020, I was with Russell. And now I associated with the US government with some security related tasks, and also I have my own company and managing from that my company. Okay. Anybody, if you have any question, you can stop me. But I prefer that at the end, if you ask me, then it will be better. Otherwise, whole thing cannot be covered. Now come to the cyber security. When we talk about the cyber security, the very first question we are very much know that what cyber security is a very well known word. Now what is the cyber security? The word the cyber is come from the Greek word, and it is nothing but a Kubernetes. So it involves the computer and also in the network. So we call it in short term we call it the internet. Okay. So all are related to the computers and network. Now what is the cyber security? When you are in the network, so everybody can access you in some form or other. So in order to prevent that, you have to have some security. So that So in some form or other, it is so you have to have security in order to prevent. So in order to prevent that cyber data. Now, what we are basically security, what is the security stands for here? Now, all you are doing is nothing but your data. That data can be your personal data, or it can be financial data, or it can be some security data. Like it can be defense data, anything, or it can be your identity, what you are doing, what your here US is the US social security number. I think here also there is other number of all these things are there. So which you can identify, and in fact the social security number that this guy can find out your bank account, everything that it can be easily find out. So your personal data is very important in terms of anything in order to for day to day life. This personal security is very much needed. So in short, what we are protecting identity data and the business data. Now, when you are protecting the business data, then when we should protect that data in transition. What do you mean by the transition? So you just go to your bank, www.bank.com. Okay. Now, when you go there, your entire bank details come into your laptop. Now, once it comes, so basically your data related to your bank account goes over the network. So when the data is your data is coming over the network, and somebody in the middle in the network, we call it the man in the middle data. So if somebody in the network, they can snip that particular data and take all your information. So you have to protect the data when the data in transition, when it is deployed, and when the data being accessed. Now, what does that mean by the data being accessed? So data in transition, we have a lot of protection in terms of protocol, SSL. You know already that SSL, TLS, all these protections are there when you are accessing any website. So in the transition, even if it is there, so somebody is accessing the data. Who is accessing that matter? So while data being accessed, so properly authentication and authorization, whether your identity is being checked while you are accessing the data. So this is very important for the data security. And the data is in red. That is another part we always ignore. We thought that okay, let's cover the network, cover the security in the network, everything will be covered. No, especially in the cloud environment, if the data in red is not secured properly, so what you are doing in the cloud environment, you are hosting all your data to some other place, and somebody is administering, some other company is administering your data. So data in this has to be protected for so your company data, whether your personal data, should not be seen by the other company administrator. So that is very important when the data is business. And while it's not possible to cover everything, so what by doing that, I've touched some of the broker tools, and they are being widely used over the all over the place for the cybersecurity. Now, one of the top three myths in the cybersecurity. Myth number one: if you have a firewall, everything is protected. It's not that. Firewall is the one very first level of defense. The first level of defense, you have a suppose think of your house. You have a door. It's for your protecting your house. Okay. Any robber can anybody can come and break your door. It's possible. So firewall is the kind of door and protected door, they lock door. Okay. So if the firewall is not getting secure, so the fact is that this particular data is very old, and in fact, I think it is taken on the 2008 or something. So 40% of the internet breaking occurs where there is already firewall in place. So even if the firewall is there, the people find a way to get into the network. Okay. Now another is that hackers cause most breaches. We thought that okay, somebody sent me the link and he will use my access my bank account. So that is the one of the another way. Always hacking or any data breaches come from the internal security for internal breach. So 80% of the data loss after the we call it insider threat. So any data administrator, people here basically sell the data, okay, and sell the network, even access. There is 100 different ways. The guy who is logged in, we just a few days back I worked on that some cybersecurity solution that they call it as a session hijacking. What is the session hijacking comes from? That you logged in. Okay. Now you logged in, you have your all your information. All your information you logged in, and now you take a contract with me. Suppose I am in China or somewhere. You contact with me, and while you logged in, there is some cookies or some reference point you can send it to me through some private email or whatever it is. Now just I try to log into the site and it will obviously it will ask for my credentials. Now if that if I cannot provide the credentials, but it will not allow me. But using your cookie value, if I put it in the way to browser, you can put I don't know whether you know the developers window. You go there and add the session cookie what you have, and I just put it, and then me becomes you. So I will log in as you. Nobody will know as if you are logged in. So basically, it's called in IBM technology it's called the collision attack. The people that pollute from within each other. So somebody is logged in and sell his information, and then I become you as a login. So I have no credential, nothing. So that is the biggest challenge comes in some solution required. So that's why I work for some time on that. So it is so that the bottom line is that insider space is the maximum. So 80% data loss comes to the insider. And another encryption is another this is that if we have a data is encrypted, we are secure. Whether data is transition like SSL and TLS, all are encrypted data. Don't think that only encryption is the one part of our security. There is a 100 different things you have to cover, then your data becomes secure. One is encryption is the one part. The second part is access control. Who is accessing the data? That is more important. Okay, and then auditing. So access control, you given access to me, and then basically I declare, okay, or I left the job, and then I join somewhere else, and you don't remove my access. So if you don't remove my access, some administrator can get my access to somebody. Okay, and that will happen that so you require every day auditing is very much important. So if you don't audit it, so this is very important whether you don't have access or you given a properly access is not enough. So you have to audit it. As well as the methodology such as following a security best practice. What is there is a lot of security standards are there. One of them the TIPS 140-2. That is one of the security standards. Okay. So these are the methodology you have to follow. Now, come to the security concept. It's like a security in a concentric circle. Now, what is that concentric circle? Just think of your house. You have a peripheral defense. What is that? You have a wall, and inside the wall, you may have a door or you may have a security guard. So, outside what is called the perimeter defense. Okay, and then comes to your building. The inside the building you may have a security guard, you may have a camera. So those are one of the security aspects is required for your exterior security. And for the perimeter defense we call it as the external security. And in the internet terminology you might have heard that DMZ zone, which is decentralized zone. So this part then exterior building, once it is come to the exterior building, so you basically you have a camera, everything is there. Then then you are come to the internal rooms where you have a lockers, everything. So inside the internal room, you have so many other security things there. It can be somebody is watching, somebody can, you have a security camera, everything. Suppose you have some important thing is there to store. So in that case, you have all the gadgets to place there. So in that case, exterior defense we call it a mid-tier security, and interior defense is the internal data security, which is a common part of the database security. Any question so far? No. Okay. Now, what is the mid-tier security? So if you see that there is a in the internet world, we have a people comes from like you go to the www.google.com. Okay. Now what you face? You face the first level of firewall. That is for the first that is the you call it as internal load balancer, external load balancer, and the you face the external load balancer. The Google.com is not a host. It's not a physical host. It's a virtual host. Okay. It will translate to something. Okay. Now, so basically when you hit that google.com, so it is into the firewall. Now, firewall check, sometimes something is required. Suppose you are logged into your drive, Google Drive. So you check something. Okay. Can I take this one? Yes. Okay. Now, for the when you come to the middle tier, so first is the DMZ. When it comes to the DMZ, we have a firewall, and then we have a normally for the DMZ zone, we can get some HTTP server for this all internet access. Now, internet for the way HTTP servers are not directly accessible by the end user. So you cannot hit this. You cannot hit the all the HTTP server right into the perimeter zone. So that we call it as VLC zone. So in that VHS, how you are reaching to that VHS server? So you are getting into the google.com, then load balancer translates that which HTTP server to go. Based on the loading factor, it goes to the multiple HTTP server. So there are multiple HTTP server for load balancing purpose. Because multiple people are accessing. So it is required to load balance. So it can distribute the load among the multiple servers. So perimeter consists of multiple servers, HTTP servers, mainly. Okay. And I am not going to the other servers, but I'm just talking about the since we are very much acquainted with the internet world. So if just think of perimeter, we have a HTTP server. Then come to the exterior building. This is the main part of the middle-tier security. Now, in the middle tier, what we have, we are basically all kinds of authorization done at this part. So, in the perimeter is just it takes your certificate or suppose you are going for authentication, you take your credential, I should say credential, and then pass it to the Ministry of Security. In real life nowadays the username password is slowly gone away. So we always call it we have to have a some X509 security. It's called basically you are using your certificate to enter into the system. Okay. Now when you have this exterior middle tier security is basically deciphering your credentials and then check it what is your authentication level. What you call it is authorization, but authorization is very broad word. There in the authorization also there are various levels are there where we call something what I need to know. This is very important. The need to know is basically those that able be all the records are being accessed by 100 different people. Okay, but need to, on the need to know basis when you do the SQL command like select start from exception keywords. Okay, that all the records will even if all the records are coming. I'm not going to the all the records will be craft, but I'm not talking about that. Suppose there are multiple columns are there, but within the some column, suppose salary column. Okay, the salary column can be accessed by the what is called your the team, but the billing department can access your what is called salary column. But the other department may want to know my designation or my wherever. So when it is somebody gives us select start from P1, it does at that time that particular column will be basically it will basically it falls in the iteration of the something that's common in the terminology. That particularly that column will be basically invisible. So he given the select start from P1, but all the columns will not be displayed. So that particular security level being in place is for the rest of the need to know it will come. So that will be controlled by the military security. Now come to the internal security, internal rules where your actual data is there. So it is come to the database server. When it is come to the database server, it is not just the server. So we require the what happens. The database server has the data. Okay, we have all the exterior security, interior security, everything, so that the outside people cannot come. So we need to have some security in the database level itself, so the internal people cannot access my business data. Suppose you are the DBA administrator, okay? I am basically running a business. So as a DBA, you have everything access, okay? But there is a database security is such that way that whenever the DBA will see, he cannot see any data. He can do all the administrative work, but without viewing any data. So that is the part of the internal security and it is the database security. Okay. Okay. Let's come to that this type of call it authentication on. Now come to the user permission. Okay. Now when you are registering suppose you are registering yourself into the college. Okay. So when you are registering yourself into the college, you have fill up some form. Okay. Now you fill out some form based on your form. Somebody type your data, and then when you register on the website, then you give some username and password. That's how it happens. But in the real world, what happens that it's when you are the authentication username and password is slowly going away, especially for the highly secure data. We always authentication is always having at least two factors. Username and password is a one factor, single factor. So if I know your username and password, then I can log in as you. So single factor authentication is not good enough for your secure data. So at least two factor authentication is required. Now, what is the two-factor authentication? Basically, there is two factor. One of the factor is what is basically we call it the what you know. Now, when you talk about the single factor authentication, with the username and password, I know my username and password. That is what I know. Okay. And what is the second factor? Second factor, what you have. Okay. So you when both the things covered, then it is a two-factor authentication. How you cover the two-factor authentication in the real world? So what will happen? So when you go to the data, I think in the data also started that. When you go to your different dinner or the bank also. So what happens that they will provide you that they will take your all your information card is nothing but some your certificate. And in the internet world, it is a protocol is X509. X509 is called it is X509 certificate. So X509 is certificate is a 2048 bytes of data information. So all your information is there. Now, what are the information? It's starting from your last name, first name, everything is there. But so while you log in, so if you present the certificate, so first factor what you have, if you have the certificate, then only you can log in. Okay. So first factor is that is now when you present the certificate, then that certificate will ask you the fee. Now that is the second factor you will suffice. So you have to know that your fee. So both the factors will suffice and it will allow you to log in. Now in the provisioning, when you first you got the certificate. Now next level is that provisioning. Provisioning is the provisioning of the server. Now while provisioning of the server, what normally we do, we somebody will present the certificate. Suppose I got the certificate, I joined that company, I joined the bank and I got that certificate, digital certificate. Now I have to, for my day-to-day operation, I have to log into the server. Now in order to log into the server, I have to provision. Provision means I have to register myself into the server so that I can work day-to-day. Now, in order to provision my user ID, what we normally do, I present the certificate. As soon as I present the certificate, now normally what happens, you enter you basically fill up your form, whether it's online or the physical form. Somebody will enter the data in the central database. Now, when you try to provision it, based on your certificate, some unique key is always there. Like normally when you do the certificate, X509 certificate, there is two things are very important. One is that who is your issuer? That issuer distinguish them and the certificate serial number. These two combined, like in the database world, you have a private key. This is a unique combination. Always the issuer, we call it the issuer DR, distribution name. And the serial number of the certificate is combined is unique. And when you are doing that, then when you are presenting the certificate, these two values presented to the central server to get my information. Now I am not entering any data, not name or anything. So I present the certificate, it will go to that with the issue TN and the serial number, and all my information flow into the during the provisioning process, including my first name, last name, and in the military also, what is your role? So every time your role may change. Okay. So what is we call it is a what is to say? Somebody says that it's a person type. I'm not going to the detail of it, but basically your category of work is also in place in the certificate, and based on your certificate, you try to match on the central server. Okay, whatever the certificate, somebody can steal some create some fake certificate. So it's always checked against the central database, what you present and what you is correct. So it verifies that, and then all your information comes as a web search. So it comes to the server, and then it will allow you to register. Okay. Now first level of registration, it will be basically it will allow you to log in. Now this will complete the authentication process. Now next level is that you have to in the ERP it's actually ERP application. You have to define the responsibility. If anybody works on the EBS, Oracle EBS, then you have to define the groups and responsibilities. Now, responsibility comes from another level of security. So what will happen? You are registered into the system, and internally it stays into the Oracle Internet Directory. And the IBM has its own Internet Directory. So that what is the Internet Directory? It goes by a certain protocol. Its language is called the LDAP. You know that lightweight protocol. So directory access, lightweight protocol, directory access. Okay. So LDAP using LDAP language, you can access the data. So it is some particular software is running. Now, it is your system, your information is taken into the white. Now, next level is you have to give authorization what level of work you can do. Now, why it is kept into the center place? Because I may change my group. And you know the differences are very critical. Suppose you are in some particular designation, your level of data access is defined by your not only designation, sometimes what level of what confidential level you are allowed to access. That's a part of the need to know. That what you need to know, that will guide that what level of data you can access. So based on that, your roles and responsibility will be defined. So how it will go? It will go to the again, it will go to the transfer to the central authority, and based on the central authority, it will show you what are the roles and responsibility you have, and all are automated. So it will go there and comes back, and then it will define locally roles and responsibilities. Anytime your role becomes changing, so it's a scheduled process now. And every day rather than your roles are remain same or not. Somebody got promoted, or somebody got demoted, or somebody resigned. So he should be then and there should be removed. So those people, so basically his provision will be totally removed. Once he resigned or somebody left the job. Something like that. I think it's a one lecture you cannot understand all this, but at least try to understand what I'm talking about. If you have any question, you can ask me. I will be happy. Otherwise, what will happen? Some point of time, I'll just simply go by that word. Right. Now, so that's why the roles and responsibilities are assigned. And now, as I already told, the authentication is at least in the two-factor authentication, and also sometimes the multi-factor authentication. I think, yeah. What? My,
Mic check on.
yeah, it comes.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
I'm also certified regular hacker and while in this topic, I have multiple questions, but I'll go for
No, any person is always good.
yeah, but I'll go to the topic. That would be great. Like for example, the topic right now, which is going on, which is about the data security, right? So you are a US citizen right now, but we have it is facing a very huge problem when it comes to organization sector. There is currently being happening IRCTC website, and there are multiple organizations, for example, TCS and service portal. They are not using any third-party fast services like Amazon AWS or server or Microsoft Azure for better connectivity and fast service. And the reason they give is security reasons. So I want to ask you, like, what are they concerned of? Are they concerned of using the data of ours, or are they just concerned about the integrity and keep the data fluent?
No, basically, what is your concern that whether there is any problem with the data integrity?
Like we, what you can say, like,
Can you come forward? I'm not very much clear what you are asking.
I really want to ask that whether these organizations are trying to protect our data or, like for example, not sharing it with any third party services like AWS or Microsoft Azure, or they are just maintaining the integrity that they want to keep the data to themselves and don't want to share it with someone else. Or are there any limitations to AWS or a few type of services so we are not able to connect with them and get them data properly?
I'm not following your question, but what is your question that you are using? Let me explain. So basically, you are saying that you are using Azure or something. Cloud technology.
Like, for example, the big organizations like higher CTC,
Uh-huh.
or example, TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, also use GPS sensors as students for our examining session. And we face multiple problems that it is very slow, it is extremely slow, and the user experience is very bad. So, and the reason they gave these organizations is that they are not using any third party services for all the data security. So, is there any distinction in these third party services, or they just want to maintain the data integrity better?
Any software is the cybersecurity software is used. Normally, it has to any software is. Can you hear me? Okay. Any software is used, it should be covered by some particular compliance. One of the compliance I told that is 140-2. That is the latest compliance. They cover so many aspects of it. So whether it's in-house security or third-party security, now if it covers the compliance, then automatically data will be secure. Like I'm sending the data to the Azure. So who is maintaining I'm not maintaining. Somebody from third party is from third party or maybe Microsoft or may not be Microsoft people, some other guy is maintaining my data. So it is very much dangerous if somebody can able to see my data and sell that. So you have to protect when it is in the server, somebody should not be able to copy the data, number one. Number two, even if they copy the data, they cannot do it. So those things need to be discussed. Okay. And when any software covers this compliance, it automatically in compliance. So I don't know whether which that company that TCS is using that. I know that TCS has a software, not the software. So I have been we have that software, but it is not fully covered. But as long as you are using it in your domain, fine. But when you open to the open internet world, it may not be fine. It means that it is protected. No, it will not be fine. And anyway, there are hundreds of hackers are running around just to breach those things.
Azure is not safe. I don't want to give it to Azure. Rather have problems with me.
Yeah, actually, I don't have the statistics. I was looking into that. Azure is the basically one, its compliance level is one only. So it's not covering any all the aspects, and which is very dangerous when you go to the cloud. So cloud, you always think, okay, we are going to the cloud, everything is the bank data is in the cloud. No, it's not secure. You have to cover the compliance, otherwise it's very dangerous. And every day the compliance is changing because the technology is adapting to change the data, change this, protect the data. Then hackers also try to basically break that particular wall. So we have to more and more brick here to add into it so that they should breaking becomes more time. Can you let me cover this? Okay. Can we add it? Okay, then I'm not talking about this one because this I'm recently working on some provision software. So these are the basically flowchart I draw, basically data flow. I will give the type on it and I will follow. Okay. Now let's please go to the. Okay. So come to the authentication. Now, when you go to the authentication, how you are authenticated. So any whether it's the Oracle authentication tool, Oracle is using Oracle Access Manager for authentication purpose. ITM tool encompasses the multiple software. One of the software is Oracle Identity Management. Your identity will be kept in place. Identity will be kept in place, maintained by the software. That is the Oracle Identity Management. And then another is the Oracle Access Manager. Oracle Access Manager is to give you the basically decide whether you are authenticated or whether you are allowed to access. And then once that access is given, the next level is the authorization. Also, you can define on the Oracle Access Manager that whether you are accessing a particular URL. Okay, suppose I'm accessing google.com. Okay, now google.com is basically one particular server. You are joining to the going Now you have a flash drive and particular drive. Now you cannot, though you are logged in using your username and password, but you define your google.com and then give the slash drive slash something. That is called you are defining the internet term. You are basically specifying the context data. Now, when you are specifying the context data, based on the context data, you may or may not be authorized to access that context. I'm allowed to access on the server, that's fine, that I'm authenticated, but I may not be authorized to access that. So that will be decided by the authorization factor of the Oracle Access Manager out there. And I'm not, there are Oracle Manager is a big tool, and there are a lot of aspects are there. One of the aspects is the federation database and panel. All this technology comes into the under the Oracle Access System. And in the cloud world, these are federation and the panels are very important for going to the cloud. Okay. Now, one of the when you are doing that, the access manager running onto the military. Now, people are outside. People are accessing from here. End users are accessing from here, and before that there is a firewall is there, and then you are not allowed any time of the security the user can access just next year. User are allowed to access on the next year based on the firewall definition. Okay. But you are not any point of time you cannot reach that second tier. Basically, sitting as an end user, I'm not allowed to access all the military servers. I can allow to access on the some with HTTP server running here. Okay. Now how I reach to the how I go for authentication, how my authentication will be decided. For any authentication tool, whether it's Oracle or it's IBM, any authentication tool, always run basically one software where that basically monitor that what are you looking for. Okay. So one of the Oracle technology is called the web gate. It's a kind of gate. Okay. Now what the gate purpose is that when you are hit to the data, when you are hit to the particular URL, like google.com/drive/ something. I gave that. Okay. Now, as soon as I gave that, then WebGate will first want to Oracle Drive is basically some other server. Then Oracle application is some other server. Forget about the data. Data is inside. But at least allowing my access to that particular application, I have to get a ticket or token that which will allow me to, okay, you can access that application, something like that. So you go to the movie theater, you buy the ticket, okay? You buy the ticket from the counter and then present the ticket at the gate and the gateman will allow to go inside the movie. The same concept. Basically, you are presenting your request. Okay, I want to watch this movie. So they will present the ticket. So here, WebGate will be the basically one particular software running in the WebGate or DNZ, and it try to find out what you are looking for to access. Now, based on your requirement, it also sees two things. One is whether you already been authenticated or not. Okay. Now, if you are already been authenticated, it will not always go for checking because suppose you logged in, if you log into the system and then you log in for a certain period of time, or you are working on the system until unless you logged out, every time your authentication will not be verified. So who will maintain that? This webgate will maintain that you already logged in. Now, when you are coming for the first time, the webgate, what webgate is do, it is the internal call. It um, reaches to the Oracle Access Manager software, and in turn, the Oracle Access Manager software will go to the repository and from the access policy, it will try to find out what is your authentication level and authorization level. Based on that, it will either allow you, okay, you are allowed to go, or your access is denied, something like that, okay, or your access is denied, but for that particular context, you are not authorized. It will tell you that whether your access is denied or you are not authorized. If your access is okay, but not authorized for this application, something like that. Now, so what you will do, it will come as a what access manager, sorry, webgate will keep it. So once it will go to the access manager will send some headers and cookies. Now, headers and cookies are very vulnerable area. You can go to if it allows to flow into the web tier, then somebody can do the session hacking. So that's why it was happening with one of the cyber security I was working on. So I'm not going to that. So what the webkit does, it maintains here it level and also in the encrypted manner. So it keeps it here and only webkit can read it. So it maintains in the memory, and once the guy again for the next page when it will come, so he will not go for, he will find that okay, this guy is already authenticated, let's allow him to go in. But suppose he is already authenticated, but he asked for some other context area which required at a different authorization level, then he will go for again check for access manager whether he is allowed to do it or not. Now, all your information are saved into the Oracle directory. Basically, Oracle directory services are running to save your identity data, and it is like a database, but not database. Okay, so it runs on a like database. You don't know that it runs on SQL command. Okay, so it is also inside the database. You can run the SQL command, but normally when application to application call, if they call it in the LDAP format. This is the LDAP is a particular protocol. It communicates with any internet directory, whether it's Oracle internet directories or IBM internet directory, it doesn't matter. If you Google it LDAP, you can find it that protocol for the language, particular language, to communicate with the internet directory. Okay, this is the authentication. So authentication level is done. So I'm now in. So you might up to the when you are doing this authentication authorization level. So what you covered? You are basically covered that data in transition and authentication level you are covered. Now very important part is that data is there, especially in the cloud. When you are talking about the Azure, why the Azure is not always safe? I should not comment that, but not always safe because the data in there is not properly secure, to be very frank. So that has to be analyzed. Some data if it is not very important, that's fine. But if it is important, it has to be secured properly. Okay. Oracle security solutions, there are three parts. One is the preventive, another level is the detective, another is the administrative. Now, what is the preventive? Preventive is that you define something, the data. That is the first level of prevention is that you encrypt the data, whether it is transition or whether it is rest. So all the time you are encrypting the data. So and if somebody can from outside cannot read your data. Now, then redaction, so this is the technology. This is one of the Oracle technologies in the database security. The redaction and masking. The redaction is required. Suppose you have credit card number. Credit card number takes into the database. Okay. Now, billing department, when it reads the data, then what it is? It is that entire credit card number because otherwise you cannot bill it. So the data redaction technology based on the guide, what he needs to know that data redaction technology will present him that only that form of data. So billing department when you see the he sees the 16 digit number. But the same thing when you are communicating with the customer service. Customer service also can see that data, but he will see that last position and rest of them are expected. It's basically done by the internally by the Oracle data redaction technology. Okay. And another is the data masking. Now, when this masking is required, it is mainly required during development process. So when you're developing any software, it happens when you go to the production based on some data criteria, you are getting an error. Normally, it should not happen. It happens only for certain type of data. You need the data in order to debug or in order to basically correct the software. So what you should do, but if it is a very important data, those data cannot go to the go to the development system because the development system is not that secure on the like the production system. So what we normally do is changes the data format. Like your data starts with the 489 something. Okay. Then based on some algorithm, it changes your credit card. The credit card number is there, but it will change the data. So though it is everything is there, but only some digits should be changed, and even the last name, first name will be changed. Something will be added, so you cannot figure it out.
And while tracking the credit card in a POS machine, I am giving my credit card number. It is saving there as well as I am putting in my PIN. So everything is being saved in the POS number.
Correct.
How safe is that? How good is that?
So basically, everything is saved in the what? Where is this?
Suppose that I am tracking my debit card in a POS machine. So it is reading the data from the bank receipt.
Oh, okay. You are talking about your ATM box.
ATM box or in a shopping mall.
Yeah, yeah, shopping mall. See, normally what happens that if you are on the shopping mall, you are basically swiping your data.
Exactly.
Okay. Now in this particular, everything is all the data is going there, but it has a limited memory capacity. Okay. And it does, it prints and then it goes. The way the software is written, that it basically takes the data, everything is in the memory. There is no hard disk. There is no saving purpose. There is nothing is there. It should not be there. I should not say there. It should not be there, but it should not be there. So what will happen? It will swipe the data, it will print, and then it will communicate with your bank, and then get the transaction complete. Once it is done, and then it will basically wipe your data. It's supposed to. You know that there is one good, basically one fraud happened in the Indian, I think it was the railway. It happened. You know that in the computer ticket, always for the day to day basis, it deserves that save the data. On that day basis, it saves the data. So when you buy the ticket, it saves the data for that day. And then at the end of the day, it basically goes to the server. So each of the kiosk has its own capacity to save the data. Okay. Suppose you buy one ticket, somebody buys the ticket. Now you are basically giving some money. Right. Now, this is a very one of the biggest part. So the guy who wrote the software, what he did, he basically add some money and transfer to his account. Now, this is not keeping for any question, please. You can ask me. Okay. Instead of keeping, suppose the guy who wrote the software, what he did, he just some portion. Suppose the ticket cost is say 30 rupees, 30 dot 39 cents, 39 cents. Okay. Now what happened? What he did, the 09 he transferred to this side. This is one of the biggest problems. So 09 every day it is happening. Every day is a 09 paisa, 0.09, nobody will catch it. And 09 or 05, whatever the last digit is transferred. Sometimes what happens, due to calculation, it becomes 3 digits. So So zero zero, that decimal point is transferred to his account. And every day, since it was keeping only for a day, nobody find it. Okay. And one guy has a suspicion, something, no, what happened, the guy has a, basically, without doing any transaction, the bank noticed, that's a part of the auditing. We notice that this account is increasing without any transfer. And some unknown account that the money is being transferred with a small amount. It's not even small amount. Even it can be for the entire three figures of decimal. So every day maybe 100 rupees maximum. But every day is going. So that bank noticed that, and we goes to the, it happened in India. I was in energy that time. So it goes to the project, basically comes to the law. Then they find it, okay, then somebody took that machine and analyzed it. What is the software there? And you know that the software is not in written in this language, any high level language like Fortran or no, it's written in the assembly language. You have all that, you have this small machine, it's running the RAM. So it is a assembly. Somebody deciphered it. It's something account is transferred, some amount every day with so that way that like. So now to your question. So when you swap it, it should stay there for during the transaction, and then it should be wiped out.
But sir, in reference to your story, when you said that you said that I ticket and ধরুন আমার টিকিটটা কাটলো ঠিক আছে স্যার ধরুন টিকিটটা আমি আড়াই গেল
হ্যাঁ,
আড়াই নব্বই হয়ে গেল কনফার্ম ঢুকে গেলাম সেটা যদি ক্লিক করে দাও কনফার্ম হচ্ছে না টাকাটা অটোমেটিক আমার অ্যাকাউন্টে ঘুরে চলে আসে
just to that.
so that means the
No, that will be basically that is not done by the user. That is done by the system. So when you are basically accessing, one part is online, another is the booth. That is the done by the small kiosk machine. That kiosk, I'm talking about that kiosk machine. Online technology is different. When you are doing it online, that is access that is doing through the server. That is. But when you are doing go to the counter and presenting it, that is the kiosk. Kiosk software, as every day that machine goes to the central server and upload that. Once it is uploaded, then wipe out. The next day another machine will be this way. Something like that. Or normally not it is basically they put something like memory chip. Okay. Now, yes. Yeah, come here. I cannot hear you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Riyarizadam from second year BSc here. So I had a question regarding this is not related to server based.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You can ask me.
It is more inclined towards the cellular network. So I think we know about the SS7 and the system signaling number 7 protocol that we
Yeah,
follow.
7 protocol. Yeah.
So you are based in the US. So in US and Canada, basically, the SS7 breakthrough was happening a lot since like 2008 or something. So you, as a user or a cybersecurity analyst, what did you or your what did you guys do to stop the breakthrough? Like SS7 breakthrough is quite easy in my opinion because you had to acquire the SS7 server which is provided by the network only. Then you got to acquire it, then you attack the user. So in that case, the two-step verification and everything failed, and the firewall is cracked open. So what did you guys do during that period of time if something like this happened?
I could follow that question. What is the question? So just do it, break the question. What is the first thing?
During any SS7 attack that happens within your company or your branch or anything for that sort,
It means the seventh layer attack.
yep, the seventh layer attack.
Okay. Now, when you do the seventh layer attack, then basically seventh layer is nothing but a DMZ zone. Okay. Now, DMZ zone has a lot of. I didn't go to all this. That first level is the part. Okay. The second level is it doesn't allow all kinds of ports. It allows only certain ports, like normally 443. Now, in the 443 is basically when you are talking about in HTTP, HTTPS, I think I should use that. In the HTTP, when you are using HTTP or HTTPS, then it started with the SSL one, then come to the SSL two, then SSL three. Now TLS, each of the level of protocol basically is nothing but encryption and the level of encryption. So now it's the TLS 1.3. So as I told, that every day you are trying to do something, and then hackers are trying to basically break that way. I also get afraid. Okay. Now everybody try to everybody the hackers is trying to break that wall. So each day, like we call it the ethical hackers. So ethical hackers will try to break the wall, not the real hackers. It's a basically ethical word, and all the software company has the ethical hacker. They write something, and then the ethical hackers will try to break that policy, everything, and try to see the what is your look. And every day it is evolving. Why you see so many updates? Because of that. Starting from operating system, everywhere you will get that. Every other day, some updates come. Even on the phone. If you every day your software is getting updated. Why? Because of the security breach. So they find it okay. This is the breach. Somebody can break this. So let's this the gap. Something like that. So TLS is the very first level. If you go to the inside of the university, that is more dangerous. TLS nowadays, the way that technology is gone to so far, that top level thing is more or less secure. But only thing that inside data needs to be secured more. Like when you are going to the cloud, you are basically giving somebody to your data, and it has to be secured. If it is not properly secured, somebody can go it and decrypt it and steal your data and sell the data to somebody. It happens many cases. So your social security number, your credit card being sold to some other guy. So how it happens? Because of the data breaches by the inspector. So when you are keeping the data, it has to be safe somewhere. Now the seventh layer it is not that critical nowadays. Yeah, every day it's evolving, but not that so critical. Okay. Now go to the advanced security. Okay, data center product mapping. So first level is the data security. When you are data in rest, you require the data encryption. Now Oracle database has a technology. Those which is Oracle have you used the Oracle database in camp? Like anybody use it? Now Oracle 12c, that latest version, that uses that encryption technology by default. And it is called the transparent data encryption, TDA. We call it as TDA, TDE. So what is the transparent data encryption? So transparently it encrypts the data. Whether you are telling or not, it will encrypt the data while saving into the data. Okay. So when the saving into the memory, the saving into the storage. So now, what is the transparency talking about? The transparency means that when you are encrypting the data, when you query the data, it needs to be decrypted, correct? So it requires the transparent to the application. For the keeping the data encrypted way doesn't require to change the application level. It don't require any change. So that's why it is transparent. So that way, when they prevent access to data address, it will not allow anybody to access. Requires no application change. This is one of the biggest technology is Oracle in the database. You know that Oracle database is very much one of the biggest Oracle product. All other products are based on the database because the database product is very built-in two-tier key management. I will go into that to comprehensive. So the key management that you are using key, public key, private key. Okay. So those key management is the two-tier management. What is the two-tier like a locker? Now when you are opening a locker, the bank people come with the key and open the door, and then your key will work. So basically, two people will match, then only it will work. Same technology is adapted. So if go to the technology, it will be very big. So it's a two-track key management near your overhead with the hardware. So for the hardware wise, this encryption decryption doesn't require any hardware check. So what is the encryption? You have a big data, so you have the encryption decryption takes time. No. So the way that they reach to the technology reaches to the certain point that it is zero overhead. There is no for this encryption decryption integration with the all kinds of virtual products and including also so when you are communicating with the golden gate is the one of the virtual product and data farm. So basically data farm is basically pumping data from one application to another and advanced computation. So we are encrypting the data and top of that we want to compress the data because so the same with the so advanced compression technique it supports. So see each of these what I'm talking about in one slide. Yeah, I can basically take this on lecture. Actually, basically you can have a course itself. Now, data security mapping. Now, as I told that when you are moving the data from production to development, then I don't want that my data should be seen by the because development is not that secure as production. So what will happen? You require to change the data. So that data reduction and data must be taken care of. Reduction of sensitive data. The sensitive data, as I told already, that call center application credit card information is saved into your database. It is when it is saved, it is already encrypted, it is data at rest, but application needs to see that data. Okay. So otherwise, what is the purpose of saving the data? Because then when the call center people call, then you literally see the data from the application that see that all your digits are X and last four digits. So normally if you call the call center, they will ask you, can you tell your last four digits of your credit card? Normally they ask. Why? Because they can see only the last four digits. Okay. And when the billing department who is billing your credit card, they can see all the credit card because they have to bill to your bank. Real-time sensitive data reduction based on the database session context. And if you have any question, I'm just keeping it. Okay. Library of reduction policies and point of state policy definition. It's a basically each of them is a very sensitive, very elaborate topic. So to cover how to redact the data. So those things are there. Consistent enforcement policies. So how it is being the data redaction taking place based on the policy. Who can see, who cannot see. So this is defined under the policy of the database. So whenever the data being accessed, so it's kind of authorization. Okay. So you are both the billing department and the call center and the authentication to have this credit card number. But who can see what level they can see, that is defined by the policy. So that is the policy which guide you authorization you have to see the data. Transparent to the application, users, and operational activities. All are transparent. Okay. Advanced security of entity. So preventive control is the one of the, I think you have heard of it. This is one of the biggest topic in the Oracle database. That is the database one. Now, what does the database vault does? Basically, limit the DBA access. The DBA can do anything. Okay. Normally, we know that the DBA can see any data, those things. But the database vault will prevent you. It prevents you that what you can see, what you cannot see. See what the DBA should do. DBA should review the roles and responsibilities. You can define, he can see what are the users are there, which group is that. Beyond that, he should not see any operational data. Only data owner should see that. Okay. So database vault is basically define the data in the application level. And each of it not only define that administrator, database administrator is basically overall database administrator. He can define who can do what. But data owner can see the data. Data owner who is I'm owning the data. Okay, so I can see that. Like that, based on the we need to know again data owner level is also divided. So okay. So I can be data owner of this part. Another part, one particular partition I have a data owner. Another partition another guy. So based on my area, I should be able to control not only access, also what data I should allow to insert or what level of update I will allow. That will be done by the data owner policy. Okay. In both enterprise data governance, this privilege segregation of duty. Now, segregation of duty is called the separation of duty. Like, like a developer. Suppose I am a developer. And in the separation of duty, I should not allow to see the production data. I'm a developer, and because why the developers are not allowed to see the production data? Because we know the tricks and so we should not if we are allowed to access the yeah sometimes required, but not always. You cannot administer that level. So why? Because if you know the trick, then you can manipulate. So that's why segregation of duty is very important. What is at what level of data access, all the things are defined under the policy. Database vault is the one of the product. And database vault is not only define the policy, it also is the audit management is also there. Who is doing what? Every day, what you are accessing, that and suppose I'm allowed to access from table that you are, okay. Now table P2 I should not allow to access. Correct? Now, I try to actually every day I try to see that whether I try to get the data. 1 or 2 days fine, it's my mistake. But every day it's happening, then audit will catch it. And then it sends an alarm to the concerned person that this guy is trying to break this thing. Basically, when you are trying to basically you are trying to do some manipulation and try to see that whether you can beat the campus. That's the idea. So if you are not allowed and you are trying to do that, auditing will catch it and send that information. It doesn't matter whether the data is which application is running, the schedule or anything, any application schedule. So you are doing from the SAP or PeopleSoft, anything. So you try to reach that what you should not do, then it will catch you and then from the application you can try and then it will catch you and then send that to the concerned person and they will give you the warning and this is a very serious you are not allowed and you are trying to see the system. Okay. I'm keeping it quickly. Now, preventive control for the organization, one is the level security. Now, what is the level security? This is another big topic for the level security. Now, what is the level security? Like And if you open that table, any table, you have a particular column. Okay. Now, particular column, you have a, suppose just a simple example, the salary. Okay. Now, when I see the salary, then my manager can see my salary. Correct? My manager can see the salary. So, level particular salary data, there is salary data being open to my manager. So that it is that it is particular data to be labeled. The literally labeled inside the data. So what is that level? That particular suppose a group, just a normal way. That this the groups can access this data. Now higher than some category, some designation, this my manager also cannot see. So each level, each data, even if it is the same column, but it has been leveled into the level that data, particular data, based on the value. So based on the value or based on the certain other criteria. So it's like defining the secret itself. Okay. So level security defines that when you are accessing the data, even if you are doing the select stuff, it will come as a just garbage, some garbage data. So even if you are see the select all the data, but only some particular level you will see the some garbage. You will not see the actual data. Something like that. So audit what and then there was pharma and going with that. I think people already placed this. Okay, this is the last part of that. Let's study privilege analysis. The privilege analysis is very important. That suppose I have a right now I'm in particular level and I have a some privilege to access the data. Now if I retire or just left the company, then privilege or somebody is some suppose you are in this different, so you are doing some task. That time you have given a particular privilege to access certain data. But once your job is done, then that privilege may not be there because you are become a then civilian. The civilian may not have access to that data. So that time, so privilege analysis will be done every periodic interval. What you should know, that's the falling in the need to know. What you need to know being analyzed by the privilege analysis. So it is that oh okay, you are already your active duty is over. So you no longer allowed to access certain data. So your privilege is being reduced and you cannot see those. Something like that. Sensitive data discovery, and each time this is a special software run that this particular sometimes the data is not always it is a direct data direct data is not always critical. Sometimes indirect information also becomes critical. I cannot remember offhand. Sometimes information indirect information. So this software tries to find out whether this particular information going to the public it carries some meaning for the related to the information, related to the sensitivity. If it finds that, then it is blocked and then next level it will not allow. So it will basically elevate the level of previously that particular information. I think you've heard that sometimes that like what is normally happening. That is being told something, somebody told something, some information. So it is very, if you look into the data, it is very, it is not meaningful for the general public. But for the hackers, it may carry the whole something, some what is going on. Or some basically financial crunch is happened to that country. Something I cannot relate, I cannot give you the exact example, but you can basically interpret. Okay, this means that, but as a general public you cannot know. But the guy who knows the sources and this try to interpret whether it carries an internal meaning or not. If it carries an internal meaning, the guy is prepared to use it smart and also that particular information will be lost. Configuration management is one of the biggest area. So how your data is managing, all this how we are talking about auditing, monitoring, everything is the basically part of the configuration management. I already talked about the database part. Turn on the privilege capture mode. This is what is that what you have in the turn on the privilege capture mode. It tells you database part is try to see that what you when you accessing the data, when you're doing SQL query, then database part will try to capture what level, what privilege you have to capture the data. And then based on the analysis, they create a report. Every day it creates a report. Suppose I am not supposed to be a DBA administrator. By mistake or some days required within the DBA privilege, nobody will withdraw. So when I'm accessing, it tries to analyze what level of security I have. So this is the one of the part that it will what does. It always capture if you throttle the capture privilege capture mode, so it will analyze what level of data, what level of privilege is report on actual privilege and roles used in the data. So it basically reports to the administrator. I know it's totally boring subject, but if you have worked on it, it's very interesting. Helps to remove unnecessary privilege. If you have already privileged user and unnecessary it's not required, then it will automatically do that. No DPO will do that. If it says that this guy should do this task, then if you are given a DBA privilege or if it suppose you are required officer select privilege, but update privilege will be removed from that one particular something like that enforce the least privilege. Your trust is required. So it will try to analyze what is the minimum privilege should be given for this to perform this task. It should know, okay, I've given a DBA so you can do anything. But I'm only managing the HR data. Okay. Now what I should do is the billing data. So those privileges should be removed. Something like that increase the security without disruption. So basically, it does automatically. You try to analyze what task you are, what level of job you have, and what should be your area to support. The based on that, we analyze and revoke your privilege if it is already there. Okay, I think I already bored you people enough. Now you have a question and answer. You ask me any question, I will try to answer. Come forward, I cannot hear you from here.
My hello. Thank you so much for this amazing session. Uh, with this session, and apart from my research, but I'm into this field from a very long time as well. I'm into this cybersecurity from Cascade. I'm very interested in this topic, and with my research work and experience, I have classified that cybersecurity into two parts. Number one, for a cybersecurity for a common people like me or the teachers, if they are present,
Any end user, we call it as user.
any end user and a common person. In the cybersecurity part, for organization and big tech companies, for example, the major issues that we face in India are phishing and scamming. What we face is like 10% of the cybersecurity for common people, and because the scammers don't have any proper information about us, they only try to take the information out of us. But if you take the example of big tech companies, what cybersecurity problems they are facing. For example, you showed us about the Oracle database system, and I would let you know that in June 2020, Oracle database system, formerly known as Global, have also been a part of data breach. I hope you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, database is inevitable. Because or I believe that everything that is on internet is vulnerable. That can be hacked. Also, a very big thing happened. It was a very big news in the cyber technology that a data breach or you can say a cyber attack has been happened to the US water treatment, Alaska City water treatment plant, where the attackers were about to increase the contamination of water filtration chemicals. And any level, yeah, increase the level of make the whole water a very toxic substance that is very dangerous.
How is it doing that? Basically, again, data security.
Yeah, that is also a data security.
You have a contamination level and kind of go up to certain level. They know it. It is also through insider sales. Insider people does that.
Yeah,
So basically, they take the data, and it's just one click.
so I would like to ask you that please simplify this for all of us sitting here. Like there are many teachers who are not from tech background. So and you can say that you made everyone else sleepy. So the ones who are getting sleepy, they are not basically from tech background and they don't have interest in this field. And that basically happens. That when you to come out of this field, like that cybersecurity is very underrated. Nobody really took it very seriously. Because as I told you, mentioned that whatever we face are scamming and phishing. None of us has faced a real cybersecurity. For example, I give you the example of water contamination there. So it was so deadly that it can cause a mass genocide if the people start consuming that water. As in US, they mostly use tap water because they know that they are better. You are a US citizen, so you might know that. So that can cause a mass genocide. And for example, many governments have also hired hacker teams for exploiting big organizations for whatever the reason they have. We don't know that. And in a very small scale, we have here scammers that are basically children. They are 15, 16 years old, and they basically scam us for money. And there is a group that not only scam for money, they scam for what you say a pure evil reason. So I would like to know about it, and I would like you to simplify all of this for us. That what are the causes and what are the precautions we need to take in a way that
In a
is
simple
so
example,
practical.
in a simple suppose when it happens to like a suppose how should I give an example? Like a hacker, like a scammer, try to steal your information. What they normally do, they give a some vague URL. Vague URL is going to the your information to the site. Okay. And how it is going to give you some URL, and you click that URL, and then in the present you hope your account is going to close, or if you don't send the money, something, then your account, you will be jailed, something like that. Then you are providing your information. So it should be it is more like an awareness for the common people. Like that's why all the time that people say that don't click on the it is this thing it cannot stop like that. The general people should aware that oh okay I will won $1 million lottery if I click that. No, nothing is everything is against the money. So it is nothing is free. So if you say that you will won $1 million lottery, then you should ask yourself what I did, I will get that. Then if you ask yourself, then you find the answer. No, I didn't know this guy. Why you give me the $1 million lottery? So you should not do that. This is required more like beyond the cyber security, it's more like a awareness. And also like some of the you know that we have a lot of cameras. We have a camera in our at our home. Okay. What you normally do, we keep it for our internal security just to when I'm outside I can see them. But how the camera works, it's work on the internet. Okay. Now, when you are working on the internet, basically at your home, it goes through your local router. So your local router should be good enough, it should protected enough that somebody can hack and go inside your camera. So I think you heard of it that somebody put it the camera into the bedroom and how much. steal that photograph and do it in the portal website. So lot of this it's basically more like a awareness. Like you put the camera something without knowing this thing. Like nowadays, all the fridge, everything is on the internet. So you can control your fridge from outside. Now you can control your fridge outside, but what you are doing, you are exposing your router to the outside. Now you are when you are exposing to the out, so your firewall, local firewall should be good enough to prevent that. Or if you are not at home, then you should close that. Something like that. Why do you need to outside when they try to access the fridge? Okay, I'm at office. I try to lower down the temperature. I will access it. That's not what basically when I'm working. But I'm in vacation. Why do we need that to lower the temperature? Something like that. Like garage door. Garage door is nowadays it can be controlled from the outside. Everything is related to the internet. And when you are opening your local internet, your home internet, somebody can hack your internet. And once you hack the internet, so what will happen? You are connecting to your laptop, everything. So sometimes the laptops are not well protected. I'm not always in the VPN. Correct. If you are in the VPN, then you are safe. But I'm in my network. When I'm in my home network, why do I care? When I'm in the hotel, I may use the VPN to work with my bank. But when I'm at home, normally accessing to the bank, normally we don't go to the VPN. Correct? Now, if somebody can hack your network, they can keep some monitoring tool what bank you are accessing. What is your URL? What is your username password? Those things can be captured. So not only the hacking your router, it's basically capturing the information what you do every day. So those are more like a awareness. And these are the general topic we're talking about when you are like bank you are saving where we are keeping your money to the bank and we are thinking that everything is safe. Okay. Now the money is just literally some paper, correct? And then and all our calculation, what you have in your bank, all our calculation is in the server. If somebody can access your access the server data, then he can steal your money. So those security is based on that. Why this is local at home security, you have to manage. You have to basically more like awareness. Yeah, you can have your home router with a sophisticated router. You can do that, but not always needed. Unless you are in a suppose when I come to India, I define to go to the I normally go to the VPN. I have my India home VPN also. And go to the VPN, then only connect. Or here in the hotel, I go to the VPN. So this is more like a nobody will see you. Then you cannot see that somebody is watching you. But when you're in the hotel network and you try to think, oh, who will watch? I'm accessing and the HTTPS. Yeah, fine. But somebody can go beyond HTTPS.
Sir, how safe are VPN and Tor browsers?
Huh?
How safe are VPN and Tor browsers?
VPN is the what which
And
browser?
the Onion network, so the Tor browser.
Oh, I don't know exactly.
His VPN, they use the technology of split tunneling. That is,
Correct.
that
The
they
VPN
take the server to serve, they show it some.
VPN is basically it will give you the virtual private net. Okay.
But they do it by taking that your IP address and masking that IP address, and they put it in some other country or even in the same country in some other place.
Yeah.
How safe is that?
No, VPN. So when you are suppose if you go to the VPN, you will see that you are in the 192 something, 192.10 or 172 something network. Okay, that can be happen anywhere. Whether you are in the home VPN or corporate VPN, that defines how the VPN is defined. But what you are saying that my IP address is put in somewhere, you cannot do that.
You're masking my address and I'm putting some other address. And how safe is that address? Server where I'm putting?
Address is locally known by the router. See, 172 in the router 1 can be router 1 and router 2, both can be 172. But when they are communicating, then encryption and local communication based on the router encryption technology. It's a local technology. And also the VPN technology, what if you are using some corporate VPN, it normally use the VPN itself is the encrypted. So even if the router, another guy has a 172 network, they cannot access my data because that particular technology and the encryption. Suppose when you do the encryption, suppose my user ID has some the public key private key. So I have my user ID has some public key, and when the data is stored to the server, then data is basically stored to the server. It uses the private key to encrypt the data. Now, when it comes to me, I'll use my public key to basically I'll use my private key to decrypt the data. Okay, but same thing it goes back and server will use its own private key. So I'll use the public key, my private key, and server public key to encrypt. So that thing will not happen to the another router may have another same network, but those encryption technology will be there. So that will be governed by your yeah. If your expiration certificate is stored, everything is stolen, yeah, then it will be a problem. But those things is not easily
But for public VPN like NordVPN and all, this is for company VPN. That is only
public
accessing.
VPN, yeah, if you do that, then it's as good as like some hotels they say that they are secure, but it is not as secure
Like
as
in
your
India,
company.
for example, now there is a VPN rule that the VPN company must share data or rather keep record of the data for 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So many of these VPN companies they have stopped their services here.
So like Open VPN is what? Open VPN is basically
It's no good at
yeah.
all.
We use that Open VPN also.
But that is not that safe.
Correct, but for you, if you are not, then you are not safe. But if you are, like what is the one or the 2 days user, nobody notices you, that's fine. Because when the middleman see the data, they cannot see your data. Okay, until unless they know what the way you are using, what VPN technology you are using, everything they have to know. But some companies using the open VPN, then it's not okay. Because they will not go, they use this technology. They handle the so many credit cards. Let's hack it. But 1 or 2 day user is fine. But you should not open the user that anybody can see your data, start reading your data, or hack your data, and later on they can break it.
So these open VPNs are not good enough.
Open VPN is not okay.
Better to keep it as without VPN.
No, not that. Like if your door is closed, okay, why you use the board? Door is closed, nobody can enter, okay. But why you use the lock? Because at least it's called the iteration. So somebody will do something. When they put the camera, what the camera
It's
will do?
become a bit more tougher.
Yeah, then they will become like, oh, somebody will know watching you. So it's kind of different.
Because half our Indian bank sites they don't open on VPN.
Yeah.
They don't allow opening on VPN. That's the problem.
But some of the sites, if I try to US site, I try to open. If you are not in the VPN in the US network, they don't allow.
They don't.
I like some of my company things I try to open. If I just use my Geo network, they say that not found. Not it is not literally they can found it, but they will not allow.
They'll not allow it. They are not allowed to show.
Come forward.
So, like my previous question about the S7
No
and
question is correct.
so you have been in the field for the last 20 plus years since the dawn of internet, I might say. So you as a user and having experience in the field, how would you like to keep your data? Because I think we both know and most of the people around here, and including this entire presentation that you just gave, we can have the idea that everything can be breached quite easily because there are people who are protecting us and there are the same people who can easily destroy us and breach our data anytime, anywhere they want. So you as a user, how would you like to keep your data? Would you like to keep it localized in a NAS-based server system anywhere, or would you trust the cloud system that are already present, or would you like to 50-50 and cancel on both?
Yeah, it's a big question. Good question. So what you can do, basically, see, anything is not secure. Anything is not. Everything is not secure. So what you do today may be safe, but tomorrow it may not be safe. So when you are putting into the data, your data into the cloud, like the Google Photo or Google Drive, we have a lot of data, but do you keep your back information? No, you should not. Though it is the same, but anybody can anytime can see the data. Why we are talking about this all this database technology, data security technology? Today, at the point this point, this security is good, number one. But every day that tries like evolving technology, hacking is also evolving. They try to break that one. So today, if I just put it on the Google Drive, somebody might hack in some other day. It's better not to do that. But sometimes the people what they do, they use their own encryption technology to put that encrypted data, own encryption technology, encrypt it locally and then put the data. That way you evolve your basically the DSL. When you are keeping your gold inside your locker, is it safe? If somebody can come, even with the bank locker, the bank locker give a disclaimer. If somebody break that, they will not responsible. They say that it's not it's safe is that because there are a lot of camera, a lot of security stuff is there. But in spite of that, if it is broken, they are not responsible. If you see that backlocker disclaimer statement, it is clearly written. They are not responsible. So everything is safe today, but tomorrow may not be
Google especially is not at all safe. If I search for anything in Google, any product I want to buy, tomorrow on Facebook they will advertise those products.
so that is the basically marketing strategy. Basically, they you know that the big story on the Amazon that what is called that Amazon, what is the technology? We have that
AWS.
you know
AWS.
yeah. So one guy basically was talking with his wife at the night. You know that what is that Amazon? Not Alexa. Huh? Yeah. So Alexa. So Alexa can do you send your email also. Okay. He was basically talking about somebody and talking about somebody with discussing with his wife. And that Alexa captured it, and by any chance, the guy name is being told, and he might have told mail or something, and then Alexa sent the email, all in voice recording to the guy. So technology is good, but you should do it judiciously, and sometimes it's annoying too.
So is there any way that I can understand that my phone is at this moment has gone on or somebody is
Oh,
doing somebody is using my phone or something else that somebody is any way that at any point of time phone is safe as क्यों देखते हैं कि अब जो हैक पूरे नहीं देखे स्पाइक पूरे नहीं देखे
देखो মানে বোঝার মানে মুশকিল আছে মানে এটা তো কেউ সফটওয়্যার না থাকলে তো বোঝা যাবে না কেউ দেখে
सॉफ्टवेयर आते हैं
এমনি হয় না সার্ভার আমি নিজেও দেখতে পাবো কিনা কেউ দেখছে কিনা অনেক মুশকিল সার্ভার থেকে এগুলো অ্যালার্ট আসে
আমি ল্যাপটপে কাজ করছি আমি বললাম মামা চাবি দরজার বন্ধ আমার চাবিটা ভেঙে গেছে কিনা
বললাম তো, যে আমি যতক্ষণ না ভাঙছে কেউ ততক্ষণ পর্যন্ত বুঝবো না এটা ভেঙে হচ্ছে ততক্ষণ পর্যন্ত আমরা বুঝবো না ওই যে চালাবে না ঠিক আছে কেউ কেউ ওটাকে ছবি তুলে নিয়ে গাড়িটা বানিয়ে নিয়েছে কেউ জানতে পারবো না। So I have one question to you. This may not be technical because I'm not a technical technical. Security is all non-technical because security is related to everyone. Yeah, I'm not technical. I'm not a technical guy. And see, like since our neighbors are with China, they are technically more powerful in comparison to other countries. Yeah, they are very good in copying. Yeah, they are good in copying as well. And technically, they are good in comparison to what we have today in India. Head of the State of India. And there has been also, I've heard that there has also been a first-hand threat. There has also been a first-hand threat from the. This question may be important to you. I would like there has been a constant threat from the Chinese perspective as well. To I don't know maybe do a massive cyber attack to India. I mean in future it may be possible. So my question is I would like you don't have to describe all the things just in few lines you say that are we India? I mean we're getting mobile is much more cheaper than getting in education. Education has become expensive. Getting everybody has mobile, and connectivity is also. I mean, there may be a threat from anywhere because you be carrying mobile, and the person who is carrying mobile, he doesn't know whether his mobile is being hacked or not because the people are, they try to stop your phone. No. I mean, the people who are into the people who are into digital can understand. I mean, the people who are into they also carry. I mean, I'm not segregating the whole community. They carry mobile and they doesn't know how to use that. So they just carry for.
Just don't install unknown app.
They will install everything. Unknown app, any setting app. You should do all your apps. Not for me. I mean, no, anybody when I come to India, at least some of the not from the default app, you always write that whether you should use cellular data and the background refresh. These two are background refresh. That normally comes from the update, but it also push some data. So it is complex. So my last question is are we really prepared for if the cyber attack? There is a massive cyber attack tomorrow. So are we? Is country is India really prepared for it? As I said, security is an evolving technology. So today you said, oh, 100% I'm prepared. Maybe tomorrow you become 50%. Because somebody, some of the technology is evolved. So your 100% becomes 50%. So at any point of time, if your technology is not evolving, there is a work reduction is going on in right now in the government. He is one of the farmers, but he has not considered cybersecurity because he is doing something. So it is basically how you are doing it. Come forward, I cannot hear you. বাংলায় বলতে হবে আমি বাংলা জানি
normally what is it? Yes. What is pick up the phone? Yes. You would say yes. You have to basically your account checking.
Not yet. Enough.
No means you are denied, and yes means you are agreed to that. So if your
Java
voice is captured, then they will use this as a tool basically
Windows firewall.
agreed to something. Banking. So this is an if your phone comes, please pick up. Normally, try to avoid sending phone.
Into the Chinese laptop. Okay, that's it.
You can just you can try to see you can try to watch your you can change your voice. But usually somebody will pick up yes, can help you or something, or you just change your voice. This is always in a common, not a normal room. That is the AI technology is working. Something will come. And it's not that the AI technology can be your brother, sister, send some money here, and he communicates with the stuff. And what is happens to what if he does the this okay, then he calls to his neighbor. What happened? They call it the feedback. So it's basically getting more technology evolving, so it should be more advanced. And then you don't go by the post. You have to make practical. It can happen. Let's check. Stop that thing. We have